we're now to a fun part of the process. I've had the guitar sitting 5 or 6 days, and we can now buff it out. 5 or 6 days to get the shellac to dry a little bit more, based on the fact that we had spirited it off, softening up the top coat. I have both tripoli powder and diatomaceous earth. Big bag of that. You don't need to use both, I just happen to have both, so I'm using both. They're both very fine abrasives, silica based. Tripoli is slightly more abrasive than the diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth is, as I understand it, the remains of the diatom. Look it up, what it is. And they're used in as slug bait and other pest bait in garden shops. So you can get diatomaceous earth in garden shops. Make sure if you do get it there that it's 100% diatomaceous earth. I think there are some products where they add a pesticide, but usually their diatomaceous earth is marketed as a non-toxic, very safe way to kill pests. Although I am told it's so fine, it is a carcinogen, so you might consider that, but I don't use it enough to be very concerned for that. And all I do is I take a nice clean diaper, use Turkish towel or any soft cotton material that you have. I take mineral oil or whatever your favorite polishing oil is. A couple of drops on my diaper. I'm going to take a little diatomaceous earth. It's very, very soft stuff. And I start rubbing. At first, you may knock down the gloss a little bit, but then it'll come back. You'll definitely get your workout doing this. It's a very fine, kind of, it's a slightly gritty on your hand. And it will very quickly bring up quite a bit of shine. There's one other thing to show you, and that is hand buffing. When I was a kid, and maybe still, a lot of commercial products compared themselves to a hand-rubbed shine. That was a catchphrase. As good as a hand-rubbed shine. Well, that made sense to me. Obviously, hand-rubbed shine perhaps was better than a machine-rubbed or machine-buffed polish. So I started wondering, as I was reading all my 19th century books, how come they were referring to a hand-rubbed shine versus what in the 19th century? Didn't make sense to me until I finally read a text that talked about how to hand-rub your polish with your actual hand. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. The hand, the skin is soft, it's flexible, it has creases in it that hold compound. It's kind of like leather. It's got oil on it. So when I started to experiment. First thing that I did is, after I buff the guitar with a cloth. I wipe down the guitar very well, getting off all the diatomaceous earth. But then, to my surprise, I took my hand, as described, and began to rub. The first thing that I discovered is that the wood surface that I thought was clean of compound, in fact, had a lot. I could feel it immediately on my hand. I also discovered that I quickly took the gloss to another level. So after I haven't done it all, but really if I were finished with my diaper and my diatomaceous earth, I would then wipe down the whole piece, get rid of as much of the compound as I could, and then I would take my hand and give it a nice hard rub. I would again, make sure your fingernails are well cut. This is probably not a technique that's good if you have a very rough, calloused hand. I have a small, soft engineer's hand, so mine aren't rough or calloused. But once I do that, I can really take the shine to the next level. So you might try it. That's a hand rub shine. So now I'm doing exactly the same thing here on the top. It's getting pretty glossy. I'm getting a little weary. We'll use circular motions and up and down motions, but really this is just good old-fashioned elbow grease. Diatomaceous earth is actually used in some commercial products as the polishing agent. So this is certainly not something unrecognized by commercial companies that know it does a nice, gentle, natural job of buffing. So again, once I feel like I've gotten it as good as I can get it with my diaper and my DE, I'm going to wipe off as much of the compound as I can, thinking it's clean, but it won't be clean. There's still enough on there that you can do it with your hand. And no particular technique, at least not that I can think of. I simply take my hand and start rubbing. So I have found a spot with a little bit of swirliness in the polish. So I'm paying particular attention to rub that more and see if I can get it out or at least fade it. Fortunately, I happen to know that it is in a spot that will be underneath the tailpiece to the archtop guitar, so it'll never get seen, but we'll see if I can get rid of or fade it a bit.